Today we have the 2021 Ford Ranger, and this is still a solid truck coming into 2021. It's got good capability, good power, and it's a great daily driver. Today we're going to take a full look at everything on the outside, the inside, and take it for a test drive, and I'll show you everything you get with this XLT Ranger. Real quick before I get started, thank you for watching. My name is Nolan. I do full reviews every single week, but also a huge thank you to Rockwall Ford. They were nice enough to get this thing ready first thing in the morning, get it detailed so I can show you guys. If you're in the DFW area, please be sure to check out Rockwall Ford. I'll put all their information in the description below. All right, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's take a look at the exterior details. So the Ranger is mostly unchanged over the last couple of years since it came out in 2019 here in the US. Still has the Foley box frame and even the steel bumper up front. And it's nice to see that you've got this bash plate at the bottom here, along with these tow hooks. So you're still good to go in that regard. The grills are gonna vary a little bit depending on the trim level with the truck, but this is the XLT. And you've got Ranger written across the front. You're gonna get all halogen headlights up here, the incandescent turn signal. So no LEDs up front, which is surprising because you get LEDs in the back. You can get LED headlights on the Lariat, but not these bottom two. And check it out, you've also got fog lights on this one as well. Now, one of the things that has changed is this paint color. This is called Velocity Blue Metallic. Still looks very similar to the former blue that we saw on the Ranger before, but I like it. I think it looks good with all the dark accents on here, especially with these wheels. What do you guys think of this color and with the looks of the Ranger in general? Now, a couple other colors, the new colors are going to be Cactus Gray, Carbonized Gray, Cyber Orange, and this Velocity Blue for 2021. And we have the off-road package, so we're gonna get these special wheels, these magnetic gray looking wheels. I think they look nice. They're 17-inch wheels. You're gonna get all-terrain tires on here as well, as they're gonna be 265/65 series tires. The other thing with the off-road suspension is you're gonna get the off-road tuned suspension and a locking rear differential, which is always a good thing. On the side body, things are pretty plain and basic. You've got the XLT badge, the black mirror caps, black door handles, and black around the windows. So everything is kind of blacked out in a sense, and fairly simple and fairly basic, no bling on this XLT model. And you're gonna get the Ranger in either a Super Crew, as we have here, or a Super Cab model. And dimensionally, it's significantly smaller than the F-150, both in width and length, but quite a bit bigger than the all-new Ford Maverick. Ground clearance will be 8.5 to almost 9 inches with four-wheel drive models. And then you're gonna get LED taillights in the back, which I thought was surprising because you don't get LED headlights on this model, but LED taillights, even an LED blinker. Plus we've got parking sensors back here with the little circles built into the bumper, backup camera, all the good stuff here, the spare tires under the bumper, and then just a single exhaust outlet over here. Now moving to the back of the truck, this isn't always about towing and hauling. Sometimes we store stuff back here or we have valuable items back here. This is a lockable tailgate. That comes standard on this XLT. It's not just key lockable, it's remote lockable. So you can lock it and unlock it with your key fob. And the Ranger's gonna come with either a 5-foot bed like we have right here, or a 6-foot bed if you get the Super Cab option. And then looking at the bed, of course, we've got the optional spray-in bed liner. I definitely always recommend getting the spray-in bed liner. You've got fixed tie downs in each corner, so you've got one down there and you've got one in each corner of the bed, so you've got that figured out. And this is about 45 inches between the wheel wells, so you can't fit 4x8 sheets between there, but you could create a platform on top to be able to fit that back there. No LED box lighting back here, you've just got your regular incandescent bulbs. And the maximum payload for the Ranger is going to be 1,860 pounds. That will be with a Super Cab, so the longer box and two-wheel drive. You're gonna lose just a little bit when you get this Crew Cab box right here. And of course you get a full-size spare tire, which is right up under the bed. Now let's take a dive into these front seats. So we've got these cloth seats. They're not heated or power adjustable or anything fancy. You can get that optional if you want to, but this cloth is actually somewhat soft, but it still kind of has a tough, durable feeling. I like how you still have a little bit of bolstering on the sides and at your legs. So comfort is actually pretty good here. Now, one thing I really appreciate is you have height adjustment, so you can move the seat up and down with this pump, and you actually have adjustable lumbar support. So sometimes with manual seats, all too often you don't get height or lumbar support. You get both of those here in the Ranger. And then to recline and of course scoot forward and backwards. But overall, that's really not too bad. And then the steering wheel is manual tilt and telescoping. So you've got good adjustment overall. And like I said, at least in the US, these are not heated standard. You can get power heated seats optional here in the US if you want to. And I've been able to spend a week in the Ranger before, and I was comfortable as far as I can remember without really any complaints. The headrest is fine, the bolstering is okay, and the cushions aren't too bad either. And headroom, I've got the seat actually a little bit elevated, and I still have plenty of room above my head at 5'9". So I've seen 6-footers plus 6 foot fit in here just fine too. Now before we actually hop into the back seat, one thing I really appreciate about all trucks, mid-size and full-size, is that the seats can fold up. So one little complaint though. First of all, there's a little handle over here. You can fold the seats up. There's little storage pockets down here, so that's nice. You don't have a full-on flat load floor, but at least you have the ability to lift this up, fit some bigger items back here if you need to. My only complaint is that this is just a one-piece folding unit. So in like for the F-150, for example, it's a split fold to where you can have part of the seat up. I wish you could do that in this Ranger, but you can't, but still you get that utility with it. Now let's actually hop into the back seat. So as you saw, you know, this is the same cloth material that you get otherwise. It is fairly upright sitting up. We've got a center folding armrest with some padding and a couple of small cup holders. And you actually get some charging ports. So you've got a couple USB ports, you've got a 3-prong outlet and a little storage bin, but no direct air conditioning vents. And then sitting behind myself, I can sit behind myself at 5'9" and most importantly have really good foot space, but have good enough knee space to get by for most people. And even with a hat on, I can sit up tall and still have plenty of room above my head. So definitely a bonus, especially if you're gonna be hauling family around. All right, now as we go ahead and hop in and start it up, we got its basic key fob. So you've just got your typical lock, unlock, and alarm on this XLT standard, and you got a flip out key. So this is not the smart key system. So let's go ahead and start it up. Got your startup screen here, as well as over there. And I always ask you guys, what do you prefer, the start key or the push button? And I always get mixed reviews. Now over on the door, Ford mostly gives you some hard materials, you know, hard up here if you rest your arm up there, but you've got soft material by the armrest and on the armrest, and then the driver window is the one-touch automatic window. I like this big grab handle right here, and you've got a pretty large storage bin with a bottle holder down there. And let's check it out. My bottle can fit right there, smaller bottles, and my bottle can even fit right there. So you're pretty good to go with that. Your light and mirror controls are all just to the inside of the vehicle. And the steering wheel is the polyurethane material. It does still have a nice soft feeling to it, but you can get a leather steering wheel optional. And then all of your typical controls for your display, cruise control, audio controls, voice controls, everything that you need is on the steering wheel. Right in front of us, Ford gives us a couple of big physical gauges on the left and the right, more typical, traditional there, and then the smaller 4.2-inch digital display here. So there's still quite a bit of information you can see on here, all of your good trip computer stuff, and we've just been, you know, sitting idling. This hasn't really been driven much at all. But there's still a good amount of information that you can see on here, and you can select a few different pieces of information that you want to customize too. And then as typical with a lot of trucks nowadays and Ford, you've got this storage bin right up here. So this is plastic. I'd like to see kind of a soft liner in here so stuff doesn't move around, but you could always add something. But it's nice to have extra storage like that. And then down below, we've got the 8-inch Sync 3 system. So Apple CarPlay and Android Auto come standard on here, so it's easy to use that. It takes up the entire 8-inch screen as well. The Ford Sync system is very easy to get used to. It's very user-friendly. You've got built-in Wi-Fi if you want it, a lot of customizable settings that you can change as well. You can see your phone controls. You can even see climate controls on here, of course, your audio controls, things like that. There's just a lot that you can still do on here, even though it's not the most advanced system. And you can get an upgraded sound system on the Lariat as well. And let's go ahead and back up or go into reverse. So you've got dynamic guidance lines, and you've also got this hitch line, the little dotted hitch line right there. So that is nice. So if you're backing up to a trailer, press the plus button, and then you can see directly down at your hitch. So easy hookups right there. And then coming further down, we do still get some physical knobs down here. So it's not exclusively touchscreen. You got volume knob, tuning knob, play, seeking buttons, and then your climate control. So you've actually got dual zone climate control on here, which kind of surprised me for a mid-level mid-size truck like this, but I'm glad to see it. You've got automatic setting. You can completely manually control everything that you want to. Just below the climate controls, you've got a couple of 12-volt power outlets. So nice to see those plugins there. Then you've got 2 USB ports down here, plus this little storage mat. Even though this charging cord can kind of get in the way of the little storage area down there, but there's a soft liner down there. Now also, you've got your auto stop start system that you can turn off with that button. You've got a rear locker, which is good with your FX2 package, trailering button, and then traction control. It's nice to see we actually still get a traditional shifter, and then the cup holders are good enough size to fit most drinks. My large bottle fits just fine. There's even a cutout in the armrest to accommodate for that. And then this manual handbrake is always good to see too. Coming back even more, this armrest is actually nice and padded, and I'm glad that they have this extended a little bit, so you've got a little bit more extra elbow space there. And it's a little bit on the smaller side, but it's fairly deep for storage. Then over here, Ford gives you a locking glove box. It'd be nice if we had the double glove box like we can get in full-size trucks, but still, you got a decent-sized glove box, and it's nice to see that it's lockable. One more thing is the passenger side gets a grab handle to get in, so it should be easier for your passengers to get in, even though we don't get one on our side. Right overhead, you've got sunglass holders, and in here you won't find a sunroof, and we don't come standard with a manual sliding back window, but you can get one optional. And then a quick look at visibility in here. These front pillars really aren't too bad going out the back. You know, it's always better in a truck than in crossovers. You've got a backup parking sonar system, plus in the mirrors you've got blind spot indicators on here as well. So let me go ahead and show you that. The parking sensors in the back are optional, but check it out. Blind spot monitors come standard on this XLT trim. And you'll also get rear cross traffic alert. So if you're in reverse, you're backing up, somebody's gonna cross your path, it'll let you know. Now when we go to look under the hood of the Ford Ranger, you actually only get one option. It is a peppy option. It's a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. So with turbos, torque is the name of the game. This is the 2.3 liter 4-cylinder engine with 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. So definitely a lot of torque for a small engine like this. This comes standard with Ford's 10-speed automatic transmission on every single trim level, and we'll talk about that in the test drive. In miles per gallon, it's 21 in the city and 26 on the highway with 2-wheel drive, and you drop a little bit with 4-wheel drive. And as long as you have the towing package, you can tow 7,500 pounds, 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. So that's a pretty good number for a gas 4-cylinder like this. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and start it up. So like I said before, what do you prefer, the keyed start or the push button start? But in this test drive, in this point of view, I just want to give you an idea of what it's like to be the one behind the wheel in the Ranger. Talk about its driving dynamics, the acceleration with this turbo, how that feels, the ride comfort, everything like that. And I have been able to spend an extended time with a Ranger before. It was the XL STX, and I enjoyed my time with it. It was more comfortable driving around every day and more nimble than I definitely expected. And all the Rangers are going to drive pretty much the same. They have the same powertrain, same transmission. This one has the off-road suspension, so this is different than what I was able to spend more time with. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. But this truck is just very nimble. For those of you that don't need a full-size truck, or maybe don't want a full-size truck to lug around in cities and parking lots and stuff like that, the Ranger is definitely smaller, easier to park, more nimble to get around, and still really peppy and capable with its towing and payload numbers too. If you drive this and then you drive any of the naturally aspirated V6s that other competitors offer, this is definitely going to be very punchy. I wish they offered a V6, but this one is still quite capable and efficient. Even just partial throttle here, and then that turbo kicks in really fast. I mean, that was just partial throttle. One thing I have noticed is the brake does kind of feel a little bit soft. When you get on uneven surfaces and bumps, of course you're gonna feel the bumps because this is actually a body-on-frame truck. I mean, it's built like a truck with a solid frame, a solid axle in the back. But considering that fact, I still think it's comfortable. Now, I complained about the Bronco Sports ride comfort because it's not a body-on-frame vehicle. It's actually an independent, regular suspension, and this feels just as comfortable as that does, and this should not be as comfortable because of its structure, but it is. This Ranger is definitely very peppy, and if you live somewhere where you have, you know, curvy roads, things like that, mountains and stuff, the mountain drivers, high altitude drivers, are going to love the turbo because it's not going to get as tired as a regular engine. And this actually handles pretty well. Like I said, it has a nimble feel to it. The F-150 is a little more lackadaisical with its driving dynamics compared to this. So you're going to come into this smaller truck and really feel like you can move this thing very easily and control where you're going very easily too. Now, one thing I always talk about is the noise levels, the cabin noise, and this does not have laminated glass. I took decibel ratings before, and this was quiet. It is a quiet truck, so road noise isn't going to be that big of a deal. You're going to hear some. You're going to hear some wind noise. Not going to be luxury car experience, but it's not going to be loud either. It's not going to be quite as quiet as the F-150, which is very quiet, but just to give you a heads up there. And you hear a little bit of that turbo. You don't really get a ton of powertrain noise in here at low speeds, but the turbo, once you get a little bit of RPMs, just a little bit of throttle, you get a big punch in the back because you've got 310 pound-feet of torque. Now, I just pulled the shifter back into S mode, so let's see what it's like. From a stop, it's going to be pretty similar, but let's get on it. And that was not floored, that's still just partial pedal. And the turbo just gives you so much quick power. Now, RPMs are holding. There we go, I'm gonna put it back in regular drive. The RPMs will go back to normal. The biggest benefit with the turbo is gonna be with its towing and hauling. You won't have to labor as much to get this truck moving because of the torque, the very low end torque. Getting it at such a low RPM without as much throttle, it's going to make a big difference in towing compared to the other mid-size trucks. But I would say on a day-to-day, the Ranger's a great daily driver because it's nimble, it's still, you know, efficient compared to others in its class. You can get the Ford Maverick hybrid if you really want something efficient, but you've also got pretty much everything that you need in here. I mean, nothing fancy, nothing spectacular. This looks kind of just, you know, pretty basic in here, but for a daily truck without all the bells and whistles, this is a good option. But let's go ahead and wrap things up. Now, to wrap things up on this 2021 Ford Ranger, it's a really good blend of capability, power, just overall utility and practicality, even as a daily driver because of its size, but there's still good storage inside. Now, for Ford truck buyers, the Ranger has been a staple for a long time. Obviously, there was a void of production for a little while, but now it's not the only small Ford truck. There is the Maverick, which is going to be available in a hybrid in a much smaller form. But if you still want the utility and capability of a body-on-frame mid-size truck, then the Ford Ranger is going to be your best bet. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of this 2021 Ford Ranger and which trim level would you go for, the XL, the XLT, or the Lariat. If you want something fancy, go for the Lariat. You get more features. If you want something pretty bare bones but still good utility, go for the XL. Right in the middle, the sweet spot, go for this XLT. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day. We'll catch you next time.